I'm sorry, too zesty for you?
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the Edge of Civility.
Right, my man. Stop. You ready to talk some shit?
Or some comic shit.
Or shitty comics?
Yeah, there's a little of all. Actually, no. Despite the ridiculous size of the pile that I had to deal with.
5 inches worth of fucking books. Oh, it's going to be a long episode, kids. Kick back and crack a beer.
What are we drinking today?
We are drinking the Naughty Nurse from City Steam right here in Connecticut.
Yep.
Just up in Hartford. Had a drink up there with our buddy Mikey just a couple of weeks ago.
Very nice. And what are we watching?
We are watching, and I hate to even say it, the pun-filled Retard Dead, which we can't decide is a monster flick, a bad science flick,
But it hasn't gotten far enough to really decide much about. It's
some kind of freaky zombie flick.
It's supposed to be zombies.
It's supposed to be zombies. I haven't seen a zombie yet.
Well, there's the guy with the pus eye.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's running around. He's doing fine. He's Dr. Feldman. But no, he's not zombie yet. He's not dead. So I don't like the idea. Got some bad news today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
About Jerry Robinson?
that's the one. Kind of sucks.
To Jerry.
Tip then flip your cup.
For those of you who don't know, Jerry Robinson was a Batman artist extraordinaire back in the day, and co-creator of...
Joker and Robin.
See, I didn't know Robin, actually.
Yep, Robin was his as well. And just so you know, while you're up there, don't let Bill Kane sign any of your shit for you, Jerry.
You mean Bob?
Bob, yes, totally Bob. Not Gil at all. Okay, I'm so not digging this flick. What the hell did he just pull out of his nose? Seriously, kids, don't bother with Retard Dead. And just so the Rev knows, we are live tweeting at this moment where maybe we'll get a question from the Peanut Gallery
Whoa.
and answer it semi-live.
Whoa.
Remember, we now have a staggeringly active, not really, presence on Twitter.
No, you have a semi-active. Mine would qualify as inactive to inert. I have tweeted like 6 times.
You got to work with me, man. Come on.
All right,
Come on.
I will increase my Twitter presence because the 2 people following me need to hear from me more often.
Who are you following?
I am following, that part I'm excited about. Lar D'Souza, the artist for...
Excellent. Least I could do and looking for group.
Yep. And I am following B.C. Levenger, the writer of Atomic Robo.
Uh-huh. And
And,
the artist, Scott Wegner?
No, I didn't even know he had one, honestly.
Yep.
I am following a good buddy of our podcast, A. Kolstad Photography.
There we go. Our official photographer and marketing research analyst.
There you go. A job fraught with peril.
With the material we give him to work with, pretty much, yeah.
It's true.
You want to jump right in, or you want to talk something else?
Well, I mean, the Jerry Robinson thing is the only really big thing. Oh, Colonel Potter from
Yes,
MASH,
Harry Morgan died yesterday as well.
as well as Dragnet.
Uh-huh. Terrible, terrible news.
Yep, so if things do happen in threes, ancient celebrity, be prepared.
Ancient celebrity. Title? Ancient celebrity, be prepared.
It's early yet, who knows?
Have you bought any geeky, crazy Christmas presents yet?
No. I mean, the only person who gets... Well, I found out, actually, I do have big comic news. My nephew has embraced Hellboy.
Really?
Yes, yeah. Apparently, he's come the monster as opposed to the comics route, but is totally into Hellboy. He's like, do you like Hellboy? I'm like, we can't have that conversation. I'll school you and you're a little kid, so... But he's asked for Hellboy stuff for Christmas, so I promised to take care of him. Get him a couple of the graphics.
Nice!
That's the first nerd moment in our family history.
Oh, one more bit of news.
Yeah, what do you got?
I've somehow gotten shanghaied into getting back into Dungeons and Dragons.
Ah, woohoo.
Our friend of the podcast who never contributes or listens, but was our peanut gallery one night,
True that.
has decided that the wondrous memories of his childhood should be similar memories for his own children. So they dragged my ass over to the house one night, showed me a set of dice, told me to make a character, and we went. So there we are.
And what is your character?
This is the same thing he is in every other game, Pinky. Antioch Brightblade, Paladin.
Now, why paladins exactly?
I like paladins. There are people who actually have a belief system behind what the fuck they do.
Which is so not something that you ought to like, really.
That's not true.
Your morality is questionable at best, and yet you
No,
play...
my ethics are...
Fine. And yet you play the most moral and ethical character every single time.
Well, what do a lot of people do but go straight for the villain? I'm rebelling against the typical... Never mind. You ready for some gooks?
I think... All right. So what do we got?
We're going to start with some Journey into Mystery.
Ooh. Can't believe this book is still going on.
And I love it dearly. Let me tell you that right now.
So 628
And 630, because...
and 629 should be in there somewhere.
It sure is. So we are catching the tail ends, mostly, of Fear itself, and therefore Loki's association with that storyline, right?
Yes. 628 is the big...
There it is.
628, 629 is basically the end of the Fear itself storyline.
Right.
So you've got the... As Loki refers to it, let me find the exact phrase because I thought it was hysterical. Loki's Magic Secret Action Squad.
Awesome.
Which is made up of Loki, Leah, the dead god of war Tyr,
Yep.
the Disir,
Yep.
who apparently are slowly developing a fondness for Tyr, which is the creepiest damn thing.
It is. It's kind of weird.
And the Destroyer.
I'm not so sure I want to see that relationship consummated in any fashion.
So meanwhile, Loki is building up relationships with basically every major villain that he can find, including Hela,
Yeah, and Mephisto.
and of Thor fame, the fire giant Surtur.
Oh, yes, Surtur. Yes, he gets the shadow of the... What's the name of the sword? Light... Is what?
Sword, I don't remember the exact name, but it's actually a pen.
Yes,
because the pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah.
Subtlety, thy name is fraction.
No, this is not a fraction. This is Gillen.
Is it Gillen now?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't even notice.
No, fraction was Mighty Thor.
That's right. Totally just made that up. Well, subtlety, thy name is Gillen. It feels like fraction because everything is really well put together in this book.
Yeah, he thinks real far ahead. Everything meshes really well. Oh, great! You put M&Ms in front of the fat guy. That's beautiful.
Colonel Girlfriend making a rare appearance by dropping off candy to taunt Jumpmaster Jedi.
Jumpmaster Jedi. Oh, fuck you!
So, getting back,
that's something you never see on the real news. Masturbator terrorizes neighborhood.
Thank fuck.
We do this stuff for you, kids. Enjoy.
It's a movie everyone's dreamed of making. What if we took mentally challenged kids and turned them into zombies?
Why is that boy wearing a bra?
We don't know. They cut scenes and there it was. Oh, I see. Never mind.
Whoa!
Oh, that's not proper. That's so improper.
And her father is Drew Carey. That's awesome. So we have a guy whacking off to a she-male and a bra getting their laundry, and Drew Carey runs out to stop him.
So bad. Anyway, they plan a little covert op, which doesn't turn out all that covert because you can't have covert with the goddamn destroyer.
Or the Desir,
Or the Desir.
But, they accomplish everything. I mean, you gotta look at the bigger picture here. Like, everything he does, and this is revealed at the end of this. Now, I read this before reading Fear 7.
Yeah.
But everything he accomplishes basically allows Thor to die accomplishing what he wants to do, which is defeating the serpent.
Right.
So Loki's whole plan basically ties him into bonds of fealty or loyalty or owing you, like mystical IOUs to three of the biggest douchebags of all time. And he's still loathed by everyone.
He can't win.
No.
He's never going to win. No matter what he does, he's at a karmic disadvantage that Satan himself can't match.
And honestly, like the people he's locked, it's not like the Desir are really, going to win anybody's vote of confidence. Leah is a little mini Hela. Tyr is dead. And the Destroyer, as we find out in 629, is actually piloted by Volstag.
Which I totally didn't hit. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was shocked. As far as I know, it's never been driven by anyone before, but it's a clever idea.
Nobody's really worn the Destroyer armor. It's been magically
Oh, no, he wasn't
animated.
wearing it. His consciousness was in it.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. But even then, I didn't remember that. I just thought it was a semi-sentient life force.
Makes you want to go back and look at the Simpsons again and see if there was something involving that.
Yes, sir.
Because it's so, heartbreaking to go look at Simonson art. And then Volstag's disgusted with him because his best friend Thor is now dead as a result of all this.
But then, what in the fuck are they watching in that movie? They made their own fake porn to watch in the movie. Okay, moving on. So, Volstag tells his kids the story of the whole situation.
Which was adorable.
That was. He went home and he's like, here's my family life now. I've seen horrors and I've seen craziness and I'm just happy to be back with my kids, and I loved it.
Now, who is the artist on this? Because
this is somebody Elson. Richard Elson.
Wow. I thought you were going for a pun with somebody else and throwing the N on, but that was actually the last name. Okay.
Yes, it was actually the last.
Because I really appreciate there was a very P. Craig Russell style to the story/fantasy version,
right?
Which I thought was really well done.
And there were points where it had this kind of just the real basic, clean. Hey, we're comic book art. We're just lines. And then it had a watercolory kind of thing. It was very nice.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed with the art.
Although I'm not real sure, there was a couple of poses where Volstag is walking around and he's not looking, say, as heavy in his shoes as he might be.
Well, you know what? Volstag is probably not the easiest thing on earth to draw.
He's a big, huge, waddly guy.
How much did you enjoy what he taught you about, what he taught his kids about Nazis?
Oh, the Nazi part. Let me get back to the Nazi part because
what do we say about Nazis, kids? Death to Nazis!
That's right. I should scan that and make it like a desktop background for myself. That would be great.
You know what I also thought was a really clever concept in this? It was this is actually 630, but 629, when he changes the serpent's history with the mighty pen of Surtur, and the whole idea is that gods don't have their own personal history, they have stories, so you can change a story.
And that's a great concept, too.
Yeah, I mean, there are some really clever things going on in this book. And I don't know how well it's doing, but this is a really nice undercurrent book right now.
Yeah, I dig it all the hell.
And now with Fear over, I'm really curious what they're going to do with it.
Well, there's going to be all kinds of bloody fallout, isn't there? There's going to be
there
Loki
always
trying
is.
to prove himself, and then maybe Volstag will stand up for him, and maybe he won't.
And there's no Thor now, so there's a power vacuum there, which I'm sure will be coming up in Thor rapidly.
Well, yeah. With that Tannerus guy, whoever the fuck that is. Speaking of Thor, more fraction goodness.
There you go. Mighty Thor 6.
number 6.
The inevitable battle between tiny little bald priest and Galactus.
Tiny little bald priest. You can't strictly call it a battle. It was more of a
stern talking too.
Yeah, that's really what it was.
He needed a ruler. If he was shaking a ruler at him, I'd have been in hysterics. And then what I really like about this issue is again Volstag and Loki, but the whole talking about he loves Loki as a child, which this Loki now is.
Yeah.
But he also remembers Loki as a man. It's like, you and Thor were big pain-in-the-ass scamps, and I love that about you. And now you're a scamp again, but you've also been king of all douchebags for 40-odd years. Pardon me, I'm having a hard time balancing those two. Oh, you adorable rapscallion. Let me stab you.
But the 8 pages of the surfer and the preacher talking metaphysically and just getting down with each other in a very civil, let's get real kind of way. I dug the shit out of it.
Yeah, I mean, Fraction writes smart books. And then, of course, at the end of this, Surfer is now trapped to Earth to wait for the gods to die to pick up the seed, and the priest becomes the Praetor, the newest herald of Galactus.
Which is a really weird twist, because this guy, I don't know if he simply needs a larger being to rule his universe for his psyche.
You're talking about the priest here?
Yeah.
See, I think you're taking that the wrong way. I think what you have to look at is that in his mind, it's not that he's serving the god Galactus. He's sacrificing of himself to protect his townspeople from Galactus by becoming.
Like Norrin Red himself did.
Yeah. In a different way, but the same. Yeah, so it's not about changing gods. It's about serving his god in the bizarrest way possible, which is becoming I can fire out of my palms and ride surfboards and giant space wands.
Giant space swans?
Wands.
Wands?
Yeah, a couple of them have had wands. They don't all use surfboards.
No, rods, staves.
I don't know. There's something about priests and rods. It just sounds dirty.
Stop right now.
What? I'm just saying.
You had to go. You always do this.
I tried not to go there.
Yeah, you know how you're trying not to go somewhere? By not fucking saying it.
No, I did. I said wands. And you're like, no, we won't be using wands on this podcast, you Harry Potter motherfucker. So I did. I did not go there.
I hate you to death.
Yeah, well, I'm still alive. Deal with it.
I've clearly failed. Listen. Tell me about 9 and 10 of Hickman's Future Foundation.
All right. So let's start right from the beginning. Last issue, we were so excited because fucking Diablo and the Mad Thinker had gotten the drop on Doom. The coolest thing that's ever happened.
Right.
And literally a page later, he's like, I'm Doom and you two are bitches. I was so disappointed. He's like,
there's our title. I'm Doom and you two are bitches.
I was so heartbroken, though. I was like, yes, Diablo, be the man. Fuck something up, you tiny little alchemist, you.
You tiny little alchemist, you.
And friggin' Doom is like, robot backfist. Fuck y'all. Outthink this, bitch. It was horrifying. I was so sad.
Even as villains, you want the second stringers to come out ahead every once in a while.
Yeah, but you know what? The Mad Thinker, Diablo, these guys don't have to be second. Well, Diablo kind of has to be a second.
And they
stringer.
often weren't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like these guys have been players. The Mad Thinker was a player back in the day.
He was huge.
And, Mr. Hyde going to a different book altogether. But, like, that level of villain is slowly becoming secondary to these giant,
Yeah.
Like, eventually people are going to forget there was an Apocalypse and a Mr. Sinister and the level of villain that just sucks balls.
We can hope.
Yeah. So, bringing back these little guys and using them larger again, like, this is why I mourn the Stilt Man in print form. Like, these are the guys I want to see getting built up.
So that leads to Black Bolt coming back for a couple of pages and not doing a damn thing because he's Black Bolt.
Yeah, but and I'm going to read from my own notes here. Inhumans gonna fuck some alternate reads up. And it happened. Reed Richards Part 2 is no match for guys with hooves, which says a lot about Reed Richards, apparently. I mean, he's fooled the Inhumans like 4,000 times.
And then we go by another couple pages, and we get stuck with this goofy little pre-adolescent.
Oh, the Val and the Little Wizard
interlude.
Yeah,
with Bentley.
Yeah, the Go-Gurt date.
I can't trust a kid named Bentley.
Well, he's the little.
I don't care how brilliant he is.
He's the wizard's tiny clone. You shouldn't trust him. You should absolutely not trust that kid. Like, if you come home and he's been like, oh, I've been cleaning your house, you should look for jewelry.
And bombs.
I'm sorry, like, you're a tiny version of the
for
wizard.
Bombs.
You're to be avoided at all costs. No, you cannot have a second cookie.
You do get the apple.
But you know what I like about Hickman in this book is that little things are getting done well. Like the mole man looking around going, okay, we're losing, bye.
Pretty
Awesome.
much, yeah.
Or like the 2-page spread of Maximus being a psychotic douchebag. Like, I am Maximus. I destroy things. Waha! All right, that's
really
what
good.
he does. And then in the end, they capture 2 Reeds and 1 escapes with Doom.
Doom always escapes. I don't need him.
So then you go to... Oh, sorry, what do you got?
I want Doom to be the fucking monarch of Latveria. I want status quo with Doom.
So you don't want Doom in prison?
No! You can't have Doom in prison. No prison can hold Doom.
Well, that's probably true. But then you jump to Fantastic 410 with the door to where you need to be.
The door to where you need to be.
Remember...
Sounds like a bad psychedelic song from...
Mr. Fantastic, his father Nathaniel, and Spidey all go through the door.
Can I just tell you I'm sick of his pop?
Well, I've never really understood the whole Nathaniel Richards slaughtering versions of himself in the Great Game.
Well, it's like that... I hate to bring this up. It's that Jet Li movie, man. It's the one.
Oh, dude, no. No. If I have to watch Nathaniel Richards hit each other with friggin' motorcycles, I quit. There's no comic that will hold me. I will walk away, sir.
All right. We've moved on. We took a break. We've moved on. And we've gone from retard dead because it was making us very uncomfortable
Yeah, it was
with
distasteful.
disabled kids getting turned into fucking zombies by a mad scientist who just happened to work in a fucking special needs school.
To be fair, we're watching on mute, so there theoretically could have been really clever plot twists that made that happen, but I doubt it.
Yeah, seriously doubt it. I mean, this thing was built on a made, filmed, edited, sound created on a like $450 budget.
Yep.
So we've gone all over to Stormfront Films' Mutant Vampire
Zombies from the Hood.
From the Hood, which promises not to be any goddamn better.
Hey, it's directed by Thunder Levin. His first name is Thunder. And it's got C. Thomas Howell in it.
And you can see the strings on the planets. No, you can't see the strings,
No.
but it's terrible nonetheless.
Yes, but no, there are no strings. It's a week from next Thursday. Like, that's clever.
So 2 weeks from now,
Apparently.
since this Thursday. So we meet up on the on the Kree Dreadnought Fist of Hala with not Ronan the Accuser, but Ronan the Accuser. There are many accusers,
Yes. And this one is mine.
And Crystal. I did not expect... Oh, that's
Yeah, they're
right.
dating.
Because they got married during War of Kings.
Right, which we didn't read because I told you if
'Cause
you
it
brought
was
it to my
crap.
house again, I would hit you.
Yes. So I stopped buying it. Because
Because it's rare when I go quite to that point, but War of Kings did it. But you know what? It's interesting because this door is supposed to take everyone where they need to be. And Reed goes immediately to suicide, which is the nicest thing that Hickman has done to Reed in a very long time.
yeah, he actually made him care about his wife for a page or two.
I like Hickman as a writer, but he made Reed Richards, and not just him, but previous Richards writers as well. And that was not easy to say, let me tell you.
Previous Richard writers.
Why do you do this? Damn comics and their alliteration.
Yeah.
Reed Richards, you rapscallion. But they've just made him so cerebral and so unlikable so
He's
often.
totally unlikable these
And,
days.
you know, the only time when Fantastic Four was my favorite book when Byrne was on it. And
Yep.
say what you will about John Byrne, and everyone has. That was a family, action-packed, or story-oriented. And Reed Richards was like the best 60s dad of all time. Like if my three sons' father had superpowers.
So they
And more and
discussed
more.
their plans.
Right. Oh, yeah. Where you talking Ronan or
No, they've moved on. And
But-
he's talking with Doom in the arboretum of the prison or whatever it is.
Well, you've got the interesting thing is they all transfer differently. So Reed goes to suicide. Nathaniel goes with Doom and Reed 2, which doesn't make a
Yes.
lick of goddamn sense. Hey, you guys are plotting to kill my son, right? This is where I need to be. And Spidey goes to the Thing.
Well, who else would he hang with?
Well, considering the Thing just
Is-
beat the crap out of him in Spider Island.
Yeah, but he knew he had to do that. It was a mistake.
But, and the whole point of him going, Spidey's need to be is to remind the Thing to go home. That's not really his need to be. Let's
No,
be
Peter
fair.
doesn't have to remind Ben just to high it off. He really doesn't.
But you know what? It is an FF book, so I get it. And Thing goes home, so it all works out in the end. And then you've got, but the nice thing is he brings his friends home with him. And when you Thing, your friends are Cap, Iron Man, and Hawkeye. Do you get the feeling, though, that he went into a room and he got Cap and Iron Man and Hawkeye was sitting in a corner going, me too, me too?
You know, at very least, Hawkeye. Clint has always been a goer. He's never really been... he's a joiner. He's never really done the whole leading thing very well. I mean, look at West Coast Avengers, for pity's sake.
Yeah.
Look what happened there.
Where are they now?
So there's going to be a big fat fight.
Yep. The nice thing about Hawkeye has two amazing skills. He can continue to be Captain America's best friend and keep ending up on an Avengers team.
Right?
And despite walking head to toe in purple and being a dillhole, he continues to bang hot, superpowered women.
And that's just unnaturally wrong to me.
It's like, you know what? I've been fighting villains for a long time. You know, Hawkeye's hot. What? No!
How did Jessica decide to do that?
All of them do that. The Wasp, the Scarlet Witch, She-Hulk probably took a ride.
Scarlet Witch, well, we've been told flat out that She-Hulk will Hulk out, as it were. Oh my God. Look at those hairstyles.
All right, so what's next?
That looks like Danny Glover. That's terrible. New Avengers 16.1 and 17.
Well, let's start with 60.1 because Neil fucking Adams did the art.
Yeah, it's a staggering thing. Did you ever expect you'd see Neil Adams on a fucking Avengers book?
No.
He kind of creeps me out with his Norman Osborn, though. Particularly with the Green Goblin vision.
That was a little weird looking. So who is? So you've got the return of Norman Osborn, and apparently there's now a combination of Hammer and a Goblin cult that's forming around him.
Yes, it's bizarre. He met all these guys in prison. They're either former Hammer people were just, oh my god, Osborn was so cool. He was the Green Goblin, and then he was in charge. I'm going to throw in with him even though he's in fucking jail right now.
Yeah, but all these ex-Hammer guys and S.H.I.E.L.D. guys, like, people are buying into this, despite the fact that he's king of all wackadoos. So they've got to call... And
he
then
is king of all wackadoos.
So the Avengers get the call, like, we're moving the most dangerous person ever. Could you guys come along? And by the way, like, he's
Why
not.
would they move him? Leave him.
Like, the thing is, yes, he was in charge of everything, but on his own, he's still the Green God. Like, yeah, he gave...
Yeah.
Like, Spidey beat the shit out of him 45 times alone.
Yeah.
Like, let's put Green Goblin, Cap, Iron Man, and Thor in a room with the Green Goblin. And it's just not going to work out well.
It shouldn't work.
You know what? Like, you guys get your ass kicked by the Hulk, not the Green Goblin. And then he stops to break out somebody named Dr. Wentworth. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
So this is like in
Just
Spider
the guy
Island.
he met in jail.
Yeah. It's a girl.
Like in the shower. Oh, it was the girl.
And a hot girl. So, good. Apparently the
Therapy.
prison...
Met him in therapy. Okay?
Heck of a shower system they have going on there.
You don't know. It's a progressive prison system.
But it's interesting, like, you see the old school style Neal Adams 70s. Like, the thing with Neal Adams in the 70s is that you had the ability to take chances that you couldn't take. And you kind of... Like, they were evolving art.
Right.
And when you're watching a guy machine gun Wolverine in the face, you're kind of seeing somewhere that a lot of current artists won't go.
No.
Or has that become common now? It's just to shoot people in the face?
I've seen it a couple of times. I'm not sure it's gotten quite common. But, Neil has gone wackadoo himself a little bit.
Well, I mean, he literally left the big twos in the late 70s, early 80s. I think it was more the early 80s. And I remember he was doing, like, not Wolverine. Wow, that was totally wrong. He was doing, like, the Frankenstein, Dracula stuff.
Yes,
and
those. It is creepy watching Neal Adams draw Wolverine knitting his face back together. It's just so... How does his knuckles get so big? It's fucked up.
Yeah, I literally never spent a second thinking about Wolverine's knuckles.
But they're just out in the open like that. Look at them.
That's appalling. But that's what I'm saying. Is like his attention to detail, I guess, is probably what made the machine gunning to the face jump out differently. Well, you remember when Gene Colan did that Tomb of Dracula Return in the early 90s? And, like, suddenly you had, like, maggots crawling out of faces and a Marvel book again, and you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
It's been a while since this has been around. Things had changed. And then, suddenly, the big reveal of this book for me was that Mockingbird is back and fine.
She got out of the hospital real fast.
Not only that, but, couldn't somebody said, oh, hey, by the way, they made this big to-do about getting her there, and she was on death's door, and then nobody had seemed to care that, oh, she's fine. And she's still dull. All right, you know what?
I'm so done with Norman Osborn.
Let's hear about our fan base.
What do you mean?
Anyone who's an actual Mockingbird fan, please write in. Let us know, because I don't think you exist.
Yeah, I've never heard of somebody anywhere ever. Forums, comic shops, on the street, conventions, never heard anybody say,
I love that Mockingbird. She hits a guy in the face with a mean baton.
Bobby is my girl.
Yeah, no.
Never heard that. Let's get through 17 because we have a couple of tweets to address.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Madness. Well, first off, let's just say one thing in regards to your Hammer thing. It is a little disappointing that Bendis jumped right back to Norman Osborn.
It feels like going back to the well.
But so far, everything else he's done with it has been interesting, so I can't rule it out either. It would have been nicer to see a few more, because that's what we talked about when the new books revamped and started again. Is like no more Hood, no more Avengers.
No, I'm fine with no more Hood.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's it was great that we were suddenly seeing new villains and things, but
then
a year later,
then what do they pull out? Ultimo. Why is there still a copy of Ultimo running around?
Well, this plays into something that happens later on, but I really enjoyed this because it was clever. And what I mean is, Ultimo, they use Ultimo to try and get the armor back.
Right.
Which is a smart move.
Osborn loves his Iron Patriot armor. He
Well,
feels
because
good
he
in
knows-
it.
yeah.
He feels pretty.
Well, that, and he knows that if he goes out there as a Green Goblin, he's going to get his
He's gonna
face
get
blasted
fucked
off.
up, yo!
It's like, well, I could drive Iron Man armor or these fucking creepy tights I sewed back in 1977 by J.R. Be like, I thought purple and green matched, but, or I could wear Iron Man armor. Like, which way would you go?
It's terrible, isn't it?
Pumpkin bomb and glider or Iron Man Tony Stark created armor that fucks shit up. Like, that's not even a debate.
No, it's true. You're
So-
right on. But, I guess since Extremis, I was concerned because I'm way behind in my Iron Man technology department.
It is everywhere.
Storyline, I'm fine with. The technology, I'm kind of confused because didn't they have to tune the suits to individual people's brainwaves? Or did they throw that all out with Extremis?
But the thing is, what I don't recall that specifically, but I'm
Because that's
more
what
than-
happened. That's why Rhodey went batshit.
Right, but what you're forgetting is when the Iron Patriot armor took place,
Yeah.
he had full access to all the armors. All
Right.
he had to do was take the most advanced one. It's not like this is a brand new armor. It's not like Tony Stark is sitting there going, I will be Iron Patriot next week. No, but he got thrown out on a rail covered in tar and chicken feathers, basically. And in return, we had Norman Osborn going through all his armors, picking out the most advanced one that he could operate, and then turning that into the Iron Patriot.
All right. I guess if it never went into production, then it was never really.
Even if that went into production, all that meant was he just wasn't flying that one.
I guess.
Because he had all the suits.
Right. But some of those were going to be tuned to Tony Stark's brainwaves, and
Right,
maybe
and those
a
he
couple
didn't
of them
fly.
were even, Rhodey's.
He probably got into a couple of them like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This one's
So
too
maybe they
cold
were
on my nutsack.
self-tuning.
Yeah, he picked the armor he liked the best and flew that one, and changed the paint. But so it can't get to the armor, so it captures Wolverine's DNA instead.
To do what with?
I don't know, but you know what? This is what I like. Is that here you have a villain going, okay, this plan isn't working. Well, what do we get? We got Wolverine's DNA. Oh fuck it, we can do something with that. Let's get the hell out of there. It's like I can't get to the bank, but it's use the porcupine. Like I can't rob a
Use
bank
the
successfully,
use
but I
the
will fuck up a 7-Eleven.
Did they even mention what they were going to do with it?
No, he just took it, but it does play in later. And then it turns out Hammer now already has Madam Hydra and Gorgon.
And Superior.
Yeah. So pretty much everybody that Bendis has ever written about, he's writing about again.
Back. All right, so Indigo Lantern wants to know what we think of Marvel canceling all their female books.
You know what? Honestly, I'm a little disappointed, but then I don't buy the individual books.
Right?
So I'm forced to read what you bring me, which is
Right.
not a bad thing. It is what it is. And how many of them were you buying?
None.
Which says a lot. And you like a female-oriented book.
Yeah.
Like, what female books did they really... like?
Well, they had given up She-Hulk.
Right.
Miss Marvel was gone.
Right.
The 12 different versions of Spider-Girl, something was happening with them. Wasn't that it, though? I think people were trying to make it sound worse than it is, because there was only 3 of them.
Well, no,
to begin
it is
with.
bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad. I don't think you can make it worse than it is, because the fact of the matter is that there's a niche for these things, but Marvel wasn't doing any of them particularly well.
Right.
Like, I haven't been reading them, but I also haven't heard anything positive on any of them.
Now, if Bendis hadn't become the end-all and be-all of the Marvel fucking writers bullpen, he might have kept going with Spider-Woman, and everything would have been hunky-dory.
Well, I mean,
But
you
he said
didn't
himself
love that original storyline either.
I didn't love it, but the whole thing only went 7 issues,
Yeah.
so we don't know what could have happened. But Bendis himself said, you know what? I took on too many books.
Well, it's about time. Like, when you multiply by 7.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that we have to look at the fact that they canceled poor books and hopefully... And I feel bad because I haven't read them, so I'm saying poor in a performing way.
Yes.
They canceled what were, for them, poorly performing books. And hopefully, as a result, particularly because of this vocal backlash...
Oh, X-23 as well. Marjorie Liu's X-23.
No one reads that.
Somebody had to at one point.
But the fact of the matter is that hopefully by doing this, they will put some real effort into putting out better.
Yes, because they have to be watching what is happening to poor DC, and they're getting lambasted with their treatment of women. And they have to be like, well, if we can start everything from scratch and have really good female-led books, then that'll be awesome.
Let's take a look at Twitter for a moment.
I thought about picking up some X-23.
Did you really?
But I did, because, I want to see violence. And if it's done by a clone of Wolverine's daughter from the future, who cares? That's not true. She's a clone of somebody. I don't know who. But no, it's disappointing, and I'm hoping they're doing it in some kind of prep for something bigger and better. Because it would be nice to be able to chuck something to my niece and say, hey, check this out. Strong superheroine. Takes care of business.
No, absolutely. I mean, and that's the highlight of those books. But, I mean, DC also has this constant tendency to be ruining...
Yeah.
What they did with Power Girl and Zatanna.
I liked those 2 books.
Yeah, but...
You found them insufficient.
And because they were.
But I found them to be just fine.
Do you still read Zatanna?
There is no Zatanna.
Exactly. And did you like when they changed artists and writer on Power
When
Girl?
they changed artists and writers, that's when I stopped.
But my point being is that, there wasn't enough going on in that book to even maintain, like, a single issue. Like, you like the creators.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started out as a humor... This is Power Girl. It started out as a humor book, and it didn't stay there. I wouldn't have gone 13 issues if it wasn't making me giggle. When it stopped making me giggle, I didn't care. I'm not going to bring my niece a boring book. She's going to be like, Uncle H, what the fuck?
I don't disagree with that at all. But my point being is that if they put some serious talent in these books, they wouldn't be getting canceled. And, it's more about... And I don't want to mock anybody.
Paul Dini's not a serious talent?
On Zatanna?
Yeah.
Paul Dini's a serious talent. That's not a fair assessment, but it wasn't... To me, it wasn't a great book. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to mock Paul Dini, who did phenomenal things with Batman. I actually really enjoy Amanda Connor's art. I like Jimmy Palmiotti. But... Name a secondary character in Power Girl, and you have the full run.
The cat.
Streaky.
It was not Streaky, actually. No, you're accurate in that much. I did like Space Zardoz guy. Space Sean Connery.
Yeah. Woohoo. So, and I'm sorry, if you have a 14-issue run of a book that you enjoyed and you can't name a secondary character, I think you have to relook at certain aspects of it.
Well, it's also been gone a year.
You couldn't name them then because we talked about it then. You might have been able to get the Sean Connery guy's name right.
Vartox. Varvox. Anyway, moving on. We hate that question. Next.
No, we don't. That's a great question. All right, well, we do have other questions to address, apparently. What are they?
Actually, we can do Andrew's.
Yeah,
Thanks,
fire away.
buddy. We can do all 4 of his in about 35 seconds.
What do you got?
Who's cooler, Marvel heroes or DC heroes? Dude, you're 12. If you dig it, it's cool. I dig a lot of Marvel characters.
I
dig a lot of DC characters. It doesn't really tip one way or another unless you start digging into math.
I gotta say Marvel for me. Like, I enjoy more Marvel side than DC. My favorite guy in DC is Green fucking Arrow, for God's sake. And that dude
There's
just
nothing
has
wrong with that unless he's written by J.T. Cruel. Otherwise, he's fine. Who, by the way, is off the fucking book.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Who catches and who pitches? See, we just barely got relevant, and Andrew drags us back into the
Why
gutter.
did you even bring that one up? Let's see.
It was in line. It was the next in line. No, Tony always pitches.
I'm not involved in this in any way. I say the nay.
Cap always pitches. Robin sometimes catches. We're done. Not this one. We're not. No more. Star Wars and Star Trek. Give me
Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's not easy for you. Don't pretend that is.
It totally is. There's no lightsabers in Star Trek, man. Although,
There are no Wookiees.
If you gave James T a lightsaber,
He'd still suck.
no, he wouldn't. He would still bang that Orion slave girl like there's no tomorrow.
You are a filthy human being.
That's right.
Look at this ray of light that burns through things when I swing it at them. No, fuck no.
I love that. That's great. We ought to write that script. Shaun of the Dead or Walking Dead? Now that is an interesting
it's a
one.
really challenging comparison because one is evolving at a rapid rate, whereas one is
Stands alone forever and doesn't change. One is a comedy. One is incredibly serious. And
I have to say Shaun of the Dead. I think Walking Dead is a phenomenal show. I think it's an even better comic. But Shaun of the Dead is partially responsible for the revamp of zombies that's going on right now.
Yeah, it came way at the beginning. It allowed...
It was the beginning. I mean, you have that and you have the remake of Dawn of the Dead around that period.
They were both 2004, right?
Roughly.
Yeah. So, it's all right.
Shaun of the Dead is all
Totally
right.
not committing to either. You got red on you.
Yeah. All right.
I like to laugh.
Shaun of the Dead is a phenomenal movie.
So it's Sean.
Yeah,
Sean,
Sean all the way.
there's your answer.
You know what? I think Robert Kirkman is amazing. I love Walking Dead, but as a television show, it has a lot more time to evolve. Shaun of the Dead had 2 hours, and they did everything right.
One last one from Andrew, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
Because we got more books to talk about. Top 5 independent books. I think we can all agree.
Are we talking all time or
it's
current?
not defined.
Well, how are we defining it?
10 years.
In the last 10 years, top 5.
Walking Dead, Hellboy, Conan.
Oh, these are...
Unless he means...
by independent?
Small press and non-big two are different things.
Yeah, because, I mean, most of the things you're naming are either Image or...
Well, they're also creator-owned. Well, Conan's not creator-owned.
But that's...
That's what?
Who did? I suddenly drew a blank. That's...
But Conan is Busiek.
No, but
and
no,
Dark
not
Horse.
Dark Horse. Yeah, they're not small or... Are
Yeah.
we really defining it? Dark Horse is an independent?
A whole lot of people... there's indies,
Right.
and
yeah.
then there's non-big two, and then there's independent.
All right, top 5. Cerebus is the king.
All right, I'll see that.
Cerebus is, I mean, you
Let's
took
go
Conan
down-
and combined in Aardvark.
Let's just go creator-owned.
All right. For me, you've got Cerebus, which basically, runs the gamut on everybody else. Then you've got Hellboy, which is my favorite creator-owned book of all time.
Yep.
So there's the 1 and 2 right there. Walking Dead, for me right now, is a huge one. Mark Waid, I'm going to put Irredeemable and irrefutable.
You don't want to put incorruptible in there.
You know what? I think there are
Is that growing on you?
There are aspects of it I enjoy, but I think you have to look at both of them together because he's doing 2 simultaneous books in a creator-owned world.
Yeah.
Which most people don't do.
Yeah, that's
so I don't think you
super rare.
I don't think you can kick Incorruptible out of it, but Irredeemable to me is by far the better book.
All right, that follows. So you catch those as a set.
So that's
in Cerebus and in
Hellboy.
So that's 3.
Let's go with, for me, I think Criminal.
Ah, yes.
At 4.
Master Brubaker.
And for 5, I'm going to go back to David Lapham's Stray Bullets.
All yours.
Yeah, you hate that book.
Hate that book. Just bought, by the way, just this morning or yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. The latest Criminal trade. Last of the Innocent.
Yes, you still have one of mine, Bad Date, which is a really weird one.
Bad Night?
Bad Night.
And we stood in front of my bookshelf and I asked you...
I don't always remember these things. You know how much crap of mine you've borrowed over the years?
Well, when you give me 12-inch piles of shit to go read... Come on! And that sounds like a pretty good list to me. I'll agree. Don't force me into thinking up my own shit.
Fine. Just this once, you've been out. Revel in it.
We got a big pile, man.
All right, what's next?
Ellis's Secret Avengers with Maximum Overdrive.
I loathe this issue.
Beast Box is the official title.
You've got robo pilots, cyber machines, weird British dudes, and overly corpsey corpses.
And bigger lips on Sharon fucking Carter than anyone has ever seen anywhere.
To me,
Angelina Jolie's lips aren't as big as Sharon Carter's in this fucking issue.
This is a lot of the stuff that Ellis does all thrown together to me. Like, this is Stranger Kiss meets the Avengers, and no thank you.
That's why there's no more Secret Avengers in this household.
This is the death of Secret Avengers?
This is the death of Secret Avengers.
And I really like Warren Ellis. But, to me...
Which is why it surprised me.
It's just like, mid-90s Image cyber villains.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
With mid-90s Vertigo, creepy British death planning.
That's creepy death planning.
Yeah, I'm not... This issue did nothing for me.
No, it went nowhere. It's going nowhere. I'm not dealing with it anymore. Ready?
What do you got next?
Spider Island, 456, and the epilogue.
So 670 through 674?
3.
So 3. All right. So the queen is named Adriana Soria, and she's apparently part spider, part super soldier, an ex-captator, and she's got more superpowers than Captain Ultra times 3.
Which doesn't seem possible, but somehow Dan Slott pulled it off.
Well, no, he's not...
or did he?
She's existed before this.
Where? I don't remember her
She used to date Cap.
When?
I did some research, dude. I didn't get book titles. But she was around before this. Spidey
if
and
you
Cap
say
are
so,
both
I don't
before.
remember the character. Ever from anywhere.
So this has the greatest thing I've ever seen in a comic book.
Oh?
J. Jonah Jameson looks at Mr. Fantastic and calls him Mr. Can't-tastic. I'm sorry. That is beyond awesome.
Mr. Cantastic. If anyone was even going to bother saying something like that to Reed's own face, it would have been JJJ.
And if that's not enough, then Spider-Man refers to J. Jonah Jameson as his spectacular spider stash. Oh my God! It's like a Glee overload. That's Joy, not musical TV show, kids, just to be clear.
I think we get it. You don't have to.
So happy.
How do you like the way they finished it?
Well, I mean, you've got there's so much going on in this issue. You've got the Spider Slayer making a reappearance. You've got people starting to evolve even further from their original spider powers to giant monster spiders. Yeah. And then you've got MJ getting powers. Agent Venom shows up. Anti-Venom shows up. It's just, it's so convoluted, Spider Island.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
Then you go right into 671 where MJ's the hero.
Which is fine. She deserves a little bit of time nowadays because she just keeps getting screwed over in later runs of Spider-Man here.
But then you've got Anti-Venom sacrificing his own body for antibodies, which cure. You find out that scientist number 6 is Dr. Michael Mobius, which is intriguing down the line.
Yeah, how did they get him?
And, by the way, who wasn't less than thrilled to find out that he still existed?
Yeah, I was hoping not to ever encounter Mobius again.
And this actually drove me insane, which is not a far drive, I acknowledge, but Spider King has been Cap this whole time?
I don't know how that happened. I really don't know.
And then...
when did that happen?
But so many huge things are happening so quickly. Like Kane, we know is Tarantula, but then Kane comes back and he's Kane again. And you're like, yay, what? No. The Queen blows up the Jackal. I will use superpower number 407.
Although who doesn't like the Jackal getting blown up?
Well, the Jackal probably was fucked, but, you know.
Well, he's the Jackal. He
and then
can
Spidey
just suck it up, can't he?
Gets his spider senses back. Plus, now we know Spidey Foo.
Well, he was training with Danny Rand.
And Shang-Chi.
And Shang-Chi. So he didn't just randomly pick
but no,
up.
He's
not Neo.
Now he's like superpowered beyond.
Well, you know, look at this. Look at this. You can't... The formula
complete a sentence.
I am working on it. The formula worked for many, many decades, and then they fucked with it. Okay, so not only did they have to unfuck it, but they had to make it more.
So what you're saying is Spider Island is the unfucking it storyline.
No, eventually
pulling it out and rolling it back.
Oh. No, this was going. No, this has been a build-up since they started conceiving the roll-up to big time. See, you had all those years from 62 to 90, whatever the fuck, right?
Right.
Where it was just Peter Parker being poor, dating his girl, getting yelled at by JJJ. And for a very long time, it worked, and that's all it was. He worried about Aunt May for a little while, and then everything was hunky-dory.
Maybe he went to school. Maybe he taught school.
Yeah, and it was fine. But then they came along with crazy-ass stuff like the Clone Saga, and nobody knew which fucking Spider-Man was which anymore, and why was he wandering around the country like Kane and Kung Fu, and that wasn't really Peter, it was fucking Ben Reilly, but Ben Reilly is obviously a clone, and it became horse shit. For like 8 fucking years. And then they said, Joey Q decided, I want a poor teenage Spider-Man again. Because that's what I was like as a kid.
Yeah, but no one liked any of this stuff. You can blame Joey Q all you want.
It lasted for years.
But no one liked it.
Yeah, which is why they're unfucking it now.
All right, but the Clone Saga is universally agreed as the...
But
jumping the shark Spider-Man moment.
Absolutely.
All right.
But where I'm going is, once you have all that craziness, you can't go back to a simple vanilla Spider-Man. Because you'll just drop people just like, okay, it was shit, but at least it was active and action was happening and craziness and you had to pay attention. So, they give him a big boy job. They teach him a few more skills to compensate for... I mean, he learned the Kung Fu because he lost his spider
power. Right, yeah. Where are you going with this?
So they have to make him a slightly more interesting superhero than just bounding around, quipping, and thwipping.
I don't entirely agree with that, but I will say that I have no problem with him going from vanilla to Neapolitan. All right? I get, he doesn't have to be Rocky Road because not everybody eats that. But everyone eats Neapolitan.
Well, sure.
But there's 3 flavors instead of 1.
Yeah.
Small evolution. I get where you're going. My point is, though, is that you have I'm not knocking this. I think Dan Slott's juggling 45 fucking balls at once right now. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to drop this one here. Hey, that's 8 more that popped out of there. Let me do those too. There's so much happening. It's like a page and something goes insane.
Well, you remember how dense books used to be before writing for the trade happened?
It's true, but you
It
also
used
had
to take a solid 20 minutes to read some books.
you also used to have like just that book.
Yeah.
Like you can't be that dense when there are 7 others. Like Claremont's X-Men at its pinnacle, because that's the definition of what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You could read an entire book of them like hanging out in the bar talking to each other, and
Yeah.
people would love it. But you also didn't have them blowing up lasers and fighting space demons with mutant tails in X-Men
they
Part
did.
2.
Oh, in the other books.
Right.
Yeah.
So you weren't catching a comparison with something 5 times more exciting. Like you didn't have to maintain insane levels of crap all the time.
Well, now you do, and that's why they let him have his kung fu.
I don't have a problem with the kung fu. I just think it's awesome that he's got 5 more skills.
Oh, you do think it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I didn't say one word against it.
Well, I wasn't certain because...
I called it Spidey Fu?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's because when Howard the Duck learned it, it was Quack Fu.
All right, why don't you go take a break?
Yes.
Master of Quack Fu.
Yes. Yeah, I went with a Howard the Duck reference. But then, even after that, you still have Madam Web revealing that the Queen now has more power because she's the worst freaking prognosticator of all time.
It's so dumb, man. Look, lady, if you're going to predict the future, do us a favor and get it right.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm not asking for much. You're a fucking fortune
I didn't
teller.
make you wear
This
a
is
sock
your
over
job,
your eye.
lady. It's your fucking job.
Yep. And apparently it's a crappy one because you're sitting down there with a wet sock over your eyes going, this might happen. Whoopity crap. So we jump to 672 where Cap and Venom team up. A dream I've never had. Fight the Queen, knock her out so she turns into Spider Queen. So let me get this straight. She was already a version of a super soldier who had spider powers. Right. Mutant screams, and so many superpowers that you can't even catalog them on a single comic page. and then if you defeat her, she turns into Gamora Spider, an Omega level threat that can thump the Hulk, and does, by the way, literally takes out the Hulk with a giant green spider leg.
It's terrible, ain't it?
Holy crap! How much power do you need in one villain?
It's awesome, isn't it? It's amazing.
Oh my god. And then you jump to a classic Peter Parker moment where he is hanging with his clone in spider gear. The clone is nude because it stopped being a giant tarantula. Well, he's like, throw the costume on so I can pretend to be me in my underwear. Because then I'm
that's
just
how he works best.
Because apparently, this is Peter Parker. Awkward pervert is better than I'm Spider-Man.
Awkward pervert.
And this leads to my second favorite phrase of the book. Because nothing will ever top Mr. Cantastic.
Yeah?
Parker Brothers away!
It's so horribly cheesy. It's so awesome, dude. There are levels. He hit that right mix of what the fuck cheesy and that's so amazing cheesy. What the fuck am I seeing on this screen?
Nothing
good.
These
bad horror flicks always end up in a strip bar. What in the hell? Moving on rapidly, back to Cap with his plasma shield again, which I had hoped to never see again in my life.
Everybody's favorite.
They end the battle, eventually, after they release
The Octobots.
Octobots.
So Peter and Super MJ save the day, but Kane is the one who takes out the Queen, or the Spider Queen, by jumping through her brain.
That I was not expecting to see. And I didn't need Peter to be justified.
What do you mean?
Actually, in this yes, he did save the entire city because he figured it out, and he figured out a deployment method for the antidote, etc. But then he actually says, I'm going to save everybody. Justifying 12 issues ago where he made the decision that no one would ever die around him again.
I don't think it's so much justifying that one moment as his entire mythos. Like, Spider-Man, I mean, Peter Parker is, as we've talked about, king of all guilt. Like, I saved 45 people, but someone got a stub knee.
Well, you know what this is gonna set us up for? This is gonna set us up for some huge disappointment, depressive trip when somebody does stub their knee.
It's true, but you know what? You can't have a Peter Parker happy for more than like an issue and a half. Like his head would explode.
I think you can.
No, you don't.
I think you can.
How?
By having him have a good job and a girlfriend. Oh, wait a minute.
And suddenly we jump to 673. So the cleanup issue, we find a bunch of people naked. By the way, Hercules enjoying his nakedness. That was uncalled for.
Reminds me of a time in Mycenae.
I like Firestar peeking.
See, but that was good.
Apparently, Prince of Power means many things.
But she wasn't at the funeral.
Well, who knew?
So
she will be at the next one.
She's okay with looking.
She's at the next one, apparently. The Jackal actually lives because he can work machinery and he's capturing Queen DNA.
I did not need the Jackal to live. I want the Jackal gone.
Why?
Because he sucks.
Why?
Look at him.
He's... admittedly, it's one of the stupidest costumes of all time.
There's no costume. He's a green furry guy with pointy-ass ears.
He's Dr. Miles Warren. He's also got clones of himself outside of the costume.
And that's why I don't need him. Clones need to go bye-bye.
Says the guy who picked Star Wars over Star Trek. Bah!
All right, you got me on that one. But there were clones in Star Trek as well.
I wouldn't know. I didn't watch. Twice. And then on top of that, the Jackal is harvesting Queen DNA, so now the creepiest mad scientist in the Spider universe has the most powerful spider leg of all time, which I think we can safely assume he won't be barbecuing. All right, that one sucked. But I was winning up until then.
There was a nice little human interaction moment with the Union guy cleaning up.
Oh, people starting to support Spider-Man was nice. And then you've got Carly finally out of the book. Yes.
Well, for the moment.
Well,
because they had a breakup before. But I think
they're pushing the MJ issue and dumping Carly. I'm excited about this.
Well, aside from that, this is a thing that happens way too often in fiction. A lot of people, she just got sprayed with green shit. Anyway, people are so utterly, and I understand archetype, I understand formula, I get all that, but once she found out that he was hiding his identity, she had no truck with him at all. She was like, alright, it wasn't protection for anybody, it was a lie. It wasn't fear of someone getting hurt, it was a lie. And I can see breaking up over a malicious lie, a cowardly lie, a lie specifically created to save your own damn ass.
Right. Those are my favorite.
I'll bet they are. But, he's a fucking superhero. He's got a different level of lie. He's a lie. I hate to even say this sentence, but if you think about it for half a minute, especially in regards to Peter's own personality, he gets to have a different kind of untruth.
Well, the thing is, I get what you're saying. Is it you're saying that he's lying
because this is fiction,
right? Well, even in fact, if there were actual superheroes, they probably wouldn't reveal right away, hey, I'm a superhero. But what you have to look at is if somebody's in love with somebody else and they expect them to tell them everything, and they say they are, and meanwhile they're hiding an entire different life, suddenly it becomes suspect everything else they've ever said to you. And that's why this keeps happening in these books, because the mindset is, if you can lie to me to the degree, like, I put on tights and go out and punch people in the face every night, you can lie to me like, oh, yeah, I didn't eat your double burger. Like, the level of lie, like, no one can handle that. That's why superheroes can't have normal relationships. It's impossible. Either you're another superhero, which means you both are going to run around sleeping with Hawkeye, apparently.
Eventually, one way or another. Well, he was West Coast.
There you go.
That's all I'm saying.
But
I'm leaving it at that.
The fact of the matter is that is a logical response. To be like, oh my God, my entire time I've been dating you, you've been running around. And plus, it's not like she's investigated Spider-Man half a dozen times. They've talked about it. He's like, oh, I've hung out with him. I do this, I do that. So there's a lot of lie attached to this.
Well, sure, the scale of it's tremendous.
Yes. So that can happen.
But this is just stuff he's got to do.
But
then they have another nice character moment at the very end where,
J. Jonah arranges for a little tribute to Spider-Man.
That as well. It's getting to seeing the tribute, where they get a couple of pages where they're just sitting alone on the roof. Mary Jane's like, I'd really like to keep my powers.
You can't. You turn into a giant spider. Oh, and by the way,
find a way, super genius guy.
The whole aspect of why haven't I turned into a giant spider yet? Because of your proximity.
I am not gonna lie. As much as I enjoyed every other aspect of this, just about, I thought that was one cheesy as fuck cop out.
I thought that was awesome.
That doesn't make a lick of fucking
sense.
It
was fair enough, but it
was
hysterical.
Is an STD. Try again.
You know what? They've swapped DNA. They've kissed. They've made love. They've hung out together nonstop. If anybody's built up a tolerance,
being Spidey is not a virus. It's not a bacteria.
Fair enough, but you know what? What's invading her is
what? How? What?
What's invading her is a virus. Can we agree on that?
Well, yeah, it's genetically. Yes. This is, but he isn't.
True.
That's not how biochemistry works.
Fine. I can't argue with you. You're right, but it was hysterical. And then Reed Richards, of all people, having to go like from. Hanging out.
All right, that moment right there where Reed was trying not to be indelicate.
Or when Spider-Man referred to it as sharing a toothbrush.
Yeah, that was it.
All right, that made my heart sing. I'm not going to lie. All right, what's next?
What's next is episode 89.
We're pausing?
For a moment, sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
As I arrange this episode and create another one.
All right, kids.
Good night.
Bless you, fuckers.
I just said up yours, baby.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. You can find us on iTunes, Podcast Alley, Facebook, Comic Space, our own site, www.themeangeek.com. Subscribe to us through RSS, and most importantly, find us as a proud member on the Comics Podcast Network. Contact us directly through email at themeanergeek@gmail.com.